He told Minsu that he had always wanted to ask if she had ever been curious about visiting countries where people looked like her. He explained that if he were an Asian living in an African country, he would have definitely wanted to visit an Asian country just to experience being around people who resembled him. Minsu admitted that she had thought about it, especially when she was growing up and going through hard times. She had wondered if she would have been treated differently in a different country. Wubin moved closer and stared at her for a while. Minsu, noticing his gaze, asked why he was looking at her that way. He laughed a little and told her that he had been to a few African countries and that she looked like she was from Kenya. Minsu laughed and stated that she had always thought she looked South African or West African. Curious, she asked Wubin what Africa was like and whether he had enjoyed his time there. Leaning back in his chair and taking a gulp of his wine, Wubin told her that the first thing he had noticed was the women and how incredibly beautiful they were. He shared that when he returned to Korea, he had tried to find women like that, but couldn't. When he first saw Minsu, she had reminded him of the beauty of black women and the time he had spent traveling in Africa. Minsu laughed and jokingly told him that he had a type. She then stood up and walked toward the deck, smiling as she admired the breathtaking scenery. Wubin sat there watching her, knowing that he had to let go of whatever feelings he had for her. All he wanted was to cherish this one moment with her before finally erasing her from his heart. Realizing that she was feeling cold, he took off his shirt and walked toward her, draping it over her shoulders. Minsu turned around to thank him, and their eyes met. Wubin's heart skipped a beat, and realizing how he was feeling, he immediately excused himself and went to the bathroom. Meanwhile, Sonjin had arranged for his father to meet Minsu's father, as his father had requested. They were to meet at a Korean pub where Minsu's father sat waiting. As he waited, Sonjin's father walked in and looked around. Minsu's father, realizing he might be looking for him, raised his hand, and Sonjin's father walked up to him. They both stood up to greet each other before sitting back down. Looking at Sonjin's father, Minsu's father introduced himself and stated that it was finally good to meet him. Sonjin's father responded by saying that their families were joining together, so they were bound to meet eventually. They both laughed and shared a glass of beer together before Sonjin's father asked what Minsu's father did for a living. Minsu's father replied that he was a restaurant owner and currently had 2 branches. Surprised to hear this, and somewhat relieved, Sonjin's father told him that maybe, if they got to know each other well, they could go into business together. As they sat there chatting and catching up, a news report appeared on the TV. The news anchor announced that heavy snowfall was expected that night and that people should stay indoors for safety. Upon hearing this, the 2 men decided to call it a night and head home.